Aimee, how you going, mate?
I'm good, thanks. Not too bad. As I said, lunchtime over here. So yeah, a little bit of time difference, I suppose.
Your dad, Stuart Willmott, is actually an Olympian himself in his own right. Great swimmer, represented Great Britain in 1988, if my research is correct, in the LA Games. How much of that was a factor in you pursuing swimming, as you got older? Obviously, I don't think he pushed you in that direction, but, we all look to our parents and go, oh, I'd love to sort of emulate that. How much of that was a factor for you?
I think when I was really little, I didn't quite understand. I just knew that kind of my dad could swim and I guess that he was quite good at it. It was only really, I guess, when I was maybe sort of 10, 11, I just started doing like little competitions and you start to kind of understand what the Olympics is and how big of a deal it is. And that it is, I guess, the pinnacle in our sport. And I was kind of swimming quite well and I loved racing and I hated losing. So I had that kind of gut instinct and that want to race and want to be a swimmer. And it was only really sort of when the announcement came that the Olympics were going to be in London, I was thinking, actually, like, this is quite a big deal. And for what my dad's done to go to an Olympics must be quite a big deal.
Mm.
So to understand it sort of as I got a little bit older and really appreciate that what he'd done was what I was trying to then emulate, as you said, was like a nice thing to have him as a role model and as a support network. And then to kind of realize that, well, if almost like if dad can do it, then I can do it. And it just made it seem like a more realistic target because he'd been there and done that. So if he'd done it, like, why couldn't I?
Yeah. Now, your dad actually, now is your business partner as well with the Wilmot Swim skills, as we talked about before. You do, club visits, swim clinics, one-on-one coaching, not as much at the moment because you're unable to, but that's what you were doing. Like, what brought that about, and how much do you enjoy working with the junior swimmers?
So my dad used to actually coach me when I was young. So sort of the age of 9, 10, he was kind of my coach on poolside as well as dad at home. And at that age, you kind of think you know better than your parents. And it was kind of just that experience that, well, he obviously did know what he was talking about because when I look back, those fundamentals that he kind of instilled then sort of helped me with the rest of my career. So to have that relationship and him understand the coaching side as well as the swim side was quite interesting. And then I went down and did my coaching qualifications and we kind of just like spoke a little bit about what he used to do back then and what we do now and the differences. And it just kind of became something that we've always been really interested in. And like my dad loves swimming just as much as I do. And he'll follow me all around the world to support me. So it was like a nice thing to kind of think, right, well, we can now work together and we can kind of give back to the youngsters coming through the sport and have that little bit of inspiration. And obviously with him being male and me being female, it's kind of like, well, you can both do it. Anyone can be an Olympian. And it's just kind of down to how hard you work, the talent, the direction that you take it. And we just really enjoy kind of that side of it rather than necessarily kind of being on poolside. It's the smiles that you get and the, oh, thanks for coming. Like, we really enjoyed it. Like, I'm going to go away and make the Olympics. And it's kind of the inspiration that we're able to kind of give. It's really nice when someone kind of turns around and sort of says that to you.
Before we talk about London and Olympics, and I want to ask you about what was it like qualifying for your first Olympic Games, following in Dad's footsteps, especially in the 400 IM. Must have been a pretty big moment for you and your family.
Yeah, it was really special. As I said, when I was like 11, I knew that the Olympics were coming to London. I was like, I have to be on that team. Like, I wanted to be on that team. So from like being 12, 11, 12, every year I worked, I was like, oh, I'm getting a step closer to that. The Olympics is coming. The hype was getting bigger and the facilities were being built. And to then race at the trials in the Olympic pool, obviously being the first kind of swimmers in there, I was like, this is going to be really special. So my parents came to watch, my sister, my best friend, my aunt and uncle who live in London, my grandparents travelled across, and it was kind of like a big event to come watch me at the trials. And It was day one, and the 400 IM is always day one. And I just remember thinking, like, if I'm going to do this, it's going to be now. Like, there's no way I'm going to get it in 4 years. Like, I want to do it now, like at home and be in London. And I knew exactly what time I had to swim. I knew exactly where I had to finish. So it was kind of, this is what you've got to do, get in, do it. And I remember hitting the wall, like turning around for the scoreboard and being like, yes, I've actually done it. Like, I'm going to go to an Olympics. It's going to be at home and I'm swimming in the same event that my dad got to swim in.
Yeah.
So as soon as that happened, I kind of give them a little like fist pump in the stands. It was like, right, where did you finish? Because now I'm going to try and finish better than that. And that's kind of where the next couple of months led. And it just was such a nice experience. And it was like dreams come true. But to kind of have my dad there at the trials and then watch me at the games, it was just like a really nice kind of moment. And especially for the family as well, because my mum feeds me. My dad used to get up early in the morning. They'd spend all weekends at competitions. So to like finally kind of give back and see the enjoyable side of it was like a really nice feeling for me.
Absolutely. I think sometimes that is something that's lost. I mean, I know it is an individual sport and you guys definitely do a lot of the work, but I think sometimes, when you guys make it, as you said, it's the parents, it's the supporters, it's everyone around. It's more of a team than people sometimes think about it. Now, I've had Rebecca Adlington on last week. I've spoken to Hannah Miley, as you know, and they both say that, 2012 London Games was insane in terms of the hype that came with it. Being home games, everyone wants to talk to you. I think Rebecca was saying someone was filming her training session randomly, and she's like, "What are you filming that for? There's no secrets here." How was the experience for you? I mean, we'll get to the swimming in a moment, so don't give the answers away in terms of your racing. But what was the build up like, and were you ready for it? Do you think? I know you always wanted to be there, but once you got there, did you think, "God damn, I wasn't ready for this"?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think you watch it on the TV as a kid, like, and you aspire to be there, and you like kind of get the gist that it's a big deal, and everyone's like, oh, to go to the Olympics. But then when you get there, you're like, hang on, this is like really special. Like you walk into the village and everyone's so friendly and everyone's there like to support you. And you're like, I don't even know who you are. Like, this is really strange that people are kind of like running around after you. Like, do you need anything? Do you need this? Is everything all right in your room? And you're like, yeah, it's fine. Like everything's good. And then you walk in the dining hall and it's like, you just feel totally lost. And there's all these like famous people and you're like, hang on, Novak Djokovic is like having his lunch and I'm sat like 4 tables away. I was like, this is like the weirdest experience ever. Like just being like 19 and being a swimmer from Britain, like make it to an Olympic Games was like this surreal experience. And I guess I was so excited to race. I was just waiting for like day one to dive in and do my thing. And just like the anticipation, the build up and the excitement is something that you do literally feel like it's like Christmas, like every day. Like you wake up and you're like, what can I find today? Like what's new? What's going to happen? Like who am I going to meet? And it's just this really like insane, strange, cool environment that you think will be awesome, but it always surpasses your expectations. Like no matter where you are, even Rio was totally different in its own right. And to have it like on home soil and everybody in Britain kind of be like tuning in to what you were doing. You'd like turn on the TV and you'd be like, oh, they're talking about where I'm staying and like what's going on. And yeah, it was just this like awesome experience that like it's just really difficult to kind of explain unless you've kind of been there and you've done it.
What about your results in the pool? How do you look back on those?
Yeah, so it was short and sweet for me. I was day one, 400 IM, swam the heat, and that was it for the rest of the week. Not quick enough to make a relay team, not quick enough to make a 200 IM individual at the time. So I knew that this was probably going to be like one swim for me, and I had to get in and kind of give it my all. I'd swam pretty quick that year. Like I dropped down to, I think it was a 4:37. 2 or 3 to make the team. So I knew I was swimming like pretty quick, but I knew that wouldn't be enough to kind of definitely secure a place in the final. So I had to get in the morning and just kind of give it like a straight final basically for me. I remember walking out to the swim and kind of like Hannah was already in the pool, Hannah Miley, and it was getting louder and louder. She was kind of coming down the back end of the race. And I was thinking, this is pretty cool. And like everyone's just getting a bit louder. And then I wasn't expecting kind of the noise to drop, like the heat to kind of clear the water, and then my name to pop up on the scoreboard and it like get really noisy all over again. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, like all these people are cheering for me because I'm from Great Britain and got this like little flag next to my name. And to be kind of behind the block, I thought, right, well, literally this is what my dream has been for so many years, and like I'm actually like living it right now. So like the adrenaline just went through the roof. I got in, swam like the absolute clappers down the butterfly length, probably messed up my pace a little bit, finished in like a 4:38. which was my fastest ever morning swim by a good few seconds. Missed out on the final, but at that point, I kind of didn't really care. I was like, I've literally just experienced like my dream and my goal within like 5 minutes. And I was like, that was what I was working for kind of like 6-7 years. So it was just like really special, and my family had all come to watch again because it was at home, so it was not too far to travel. And yeah, it was just that first kind of taste of, right, now I've been to one, like I don't just want to come again for the ride and be team cheerleader for the next 7 days. I want to come next time and kind of make my stamp. And that was where I really like kind of realized that like I could be better than I was and not just make teams. Like, could I win medals? Could I make another Olympics? And it just kind of fueled the rest of that excitement and passion through till kind of now, really.
Now, Commonwealth Games, Gold Coast, you said that was your goal. You just wanted to get there. Then by the time you qualified, then you're like, okay, well, I don't want to just get there. I want to see how good I can be on the day. Well, gold in the 400 IM is how good you could be. A huge moment for you in your career, and obviously going through, your career as I have done just now, obviously it even feels like it would have been a really big moment for you personally. How proud are you of that moment? Because you've battled probably a lot, not so much just physically with the injury before, but obviously mentally and all those sort of things of overcoming. Am I good enough? Am I not good enough? Should I keep going? What's going on? Here you are now, 2018 gold. You more than proved that you were good enough. How proud are you of that?
I guess everyone asks, like, what's the pinnacle in your career? And although making my first Olympics in London was one of those, I think finally kind of getting my hand on a gold medal was so special. Even in terms of being on home soil and being at like British Championships, Hannah would always have won the gold and I would always have took home the silver. And it was never really the other way around. And for it to happen, like internationally at a Commonwealth Games on the Gold Coast, like under floodlights, my mum and dad had come out to watch. They thought, well, if this is going to be a last swim, we're definitely not missing it. My mum had never been to Australia, so it was even like a special moment for her. So she'd done the trip. And yeah, it was, I kind of had the feeling of like, whatever will be, will be. And I remember saying that, like one of my friends said that to me before I went, and she was like, well, yeah, you've been injured and everything will either fall into place. So like, try not to worry about it and just enjoy it. And this was when I was being a grumpy whinge bag that I was injured and everything else wasn't necessarily happening. And I remember just thinking like back to that moment and being like, you know what, she's totally right. Like if I win a silver medal tomorrow, do not cry, do not be upset about it, because it's a silver medal at the Commonwealth Games. And from where you've come, it's still a massive achievement. So I kind of had the understanding with myself, like gave myself a talking to and was like, whatever you get tomorrow, like be happy with it, because you know you're going to give 100%. So you can't then beat yourself up if you doesn't get the colour of the medal that you want, just because it's not the colour you wanted, because I knew in myself that I was going to give 100%. I wasn't going to think, oh, I'll just get behind the block and maybe like tactically give it a bit of this and just get out and think, oh, I could have gone faster, because I knew that wasn't me. So it was almost be happy with what you got. And then the day of the race, I woke up and I was like, right, whatever will happen today is going to happen today. If it's a silver, smile when you get that medal. You want a nice picture this time, because the last one you're all red-eyed and not looking the best. And obviously I got a lovely bronze tan from being on the Gold Coast. So I raced the heat in the morning, felt really comfortable. And then I thought, right, you know what, tonight let's give it a go, see what happens. You know, you've got to race a little bit more tactically, because at this point it was obvious it was going to be again me versus Hannah, and it was going to be that battle for who was going to get which colour. And I just remember like feeling confident, knowing that my race plan was literally ticking off each length how I wanted it to be. And then I remember turning down the last end thinking, I've actually got a bit of energy in me. Like I could see myself pulling away. And as soon as I got that adrenaline boost, I thought, this is actually happening. Like maybe I'm going to win the gold medal. And I just kept kicking and kept going. And to finish, know straight away that I saw like one next to my name. My mum and dad, I knew exactly where they were, and they were going absolutely mental in the stands. And I was like, oh, I've done it. And it was just like a really like nice moment. And it was I finally won a gold rather than kind of always being the person who comes in second. And yeah, it was really special. And I guess the medal's really nice and the ribbon's even snazzy. So it makes it all 10 times better.
Something a game I want to play with you, and I'm only doing this with you guys from the UK because I think it's a bit of fun, and I want to test your knowledge of Aussie slang. Now, given that I know you listen to Hannah's, I'm going to change these up slightly because otherwise you're going to know the answers. So give me 2 seconds. I'm just going to grab up these other ones that I have sitting on the side. Yeah, well, I had prepared some that were similar to Hannah's, and then I heard you say that obviously you listen to
Throw
that.
a spanner in there for you.
Yeah, well, I just don't. Well, I don't want to make things too easy for you, mate. Otherwise, what's the point of this game now? So
it'd even be more embarrassing if I just got them all wrong then.
Would have just proved you didn't actually. You started listening to it and you
Last
dropped
5
off
minutes,
at the end. So, here's the name of the game. Pretty simple. These are Aussie slang terminologies for something, obviously, and you're going to tell me what it means. I've learned to put it in more of a sentence to make it make sense to almost lead you to the answer. But we'll see how we go. So the first one is, if I was cracking open a cold one, what would I be doing?
Opening a beer?
Yeah. Or for me, whiskey, but yeah, just cracking open a can of alcohol. Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. I'll just put it this way. If I was buggered, what would I be? If you said to me, how are you? I said,
knackered, tired.
Yeah, knackered is the way. Yeah, exactly. Perfect. If you asked me what I was having for dinner and I said just a few snags.
Oh, don't know that one.
On the barbecue. I'll help you out.
Burgers? Sausages?
Sausages. Yeah.
Sausages.
Yeah, just throwing on a few snags.
Snags. I might use that over the summer.
Maybe nobody will know what you're saying, but
they'll be like, "What?"
If I was chucking a sickie tomorrow, what would I be doing?
Taking the day off work.
Yes. Which I'm not. I am going to work tomorrow. I'm now COVID free. Have you had a COVID test? This is just straight out of left field. But the other day, because I've been having a cough, so I thought I better do the right thing. And I had the COVID test, and it was goddamn awful. Have you had it?
Believe it or not, yes. Not that a couple of days ago. It's like a precaution, I guess, because we're back in the pool and in the environment. It's like, right, I had a bit of a sore throat, and the doctor's like, it's a new symptom. You're not allowed back to the pool. And it was awful. I was like self-administrated, and when the swab, and I was coughing and sneezing, and I was thinking, thank gosh, no one can see me right now, because I did not look pretty. My eyes were streaming. It was rough.
It was the same as you. I had a sore throat, and I'd sort of put it down to, like, I talk a lot, obviously, as you can tell, and I do a lot of interviews. So I was like, maybe I've just been talking too much, but I thought, no, I better do it because I just started going back to coaching. Man, that thing went so far up my nose. I thought they were trying to take out a piece of my brain. Like, what is happening? Where is it going? I just thought it was never going to end. Anyway, that's a side note.
It made me sneeze so bad.
I'm glad you went through that experience too. If I was wearing a pair of thongs, what would I be wearing?
Flip-flops.
Yes.
Knew that one.
I know you guys are a bit better at that. If I was talking to Americans, I think they'd be throwing a little bit more about what a thong is. And the last one, if I was driving and I'm talking to you on the phone, but it's hands-free, of course, and I said to you, I'm just pulling into the servo, what would I be doing?
Service station?
Yeah, perfect.
Pulling off the road?
Yeah, service station. Killed it. Look at you go. You were a bit worried about that too, because I took your left field there because you were ready for the
new ones.
You were ready for the Hannah Miley ones. You're like, I've got this. This guy doesn't even know. Mate, finally, listen, I want to talk to you about what you think, or what you want more than what you think your legacy to be in the sport. So when coaches are talking about Aimee Willmott to their athletes, how do you want to be remembered as an athlete? And what do you think, your legacy would be?
I think it would be nice if people kind of said that I was a girl that worked hard, was consistent, could kind of perform, hopefully when I needed to perform, and just never really gave up, even if things weren't necessarily the easiest. That would be quite a nice legacy, I think, to kind of have.
Well, I think definitely anybody that goes through your career will definitely see that. And as I said, what a perfect, especially 2008. To even as I said, if you don't know your story and you do some research and you look through and then you see, how well you did in 2000, you just get a smile on your face for you. So definitely, I think.
Oh, thank you.
No, it's definitely. I think that's the appreciation anybody who goes through your career should get. That you're a fighter, you never gave up, and you kept pushing forward. I want to thank you very much for coming on for a chat. I know you're busy, you're getting back into swimming. You've got the swim skills, the business there that you're getting stuck into. So I definitely appreciate you taking the time to come on. It's been an honor, privilege to go through your, a remarkable career. You're a champion in and out of the pool. I know the listeners are going to get a lot from these stories. I certainly did. I enjoyed it, so I know others will as well. And finally, mate, thank you very much for coming on Off the Block Swimming podcast.
Thank you very much for having me.
Today's episode of Off the Block Swimming podcast is proudly brought to you by Pro Swim Workouts.